All right, everybody. It is day 3 of fasting, although there's a caveat to that. And so I just wanted to kind of update you guys on today's Daily Doc Talk episode. So if you've been following along with the last few episodes here, I had decided on Saturday evening to do an 80-hour fast. So basically what that looked like was I stopped eating around 8 p.m. on Saturday. So I would go all the way through Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And so today's Tuesday, so day 3. And then I would break fast Wednesday morning. Now, yesterday was my 1-year anniversary, and so I decided we had a bone-in ribeye dinner last night, my wife and I, and so I decided to break the fast yesterday so that I could celebrate with her, and then came back to fasting today. And so one of the things that actually came out of this was the idea and notion around alternate day fasting. Now, alternate day fasting, I first had read about this actually before even I came to med school on some forums and things like that, just some different ways to help improve longevity, body composition, that type of stuff. And I never really considered doing alternate day fasting until kind of last night and today. And so I might go on and experiment with that. I don't know, as of the time of filming this video, I don't know if I'm going to do continue out this fast a little bit longer, or if I am going to do some alternate day fasting. But I wanted to take a second, just even though it sounds really self-explanatory, but to talk about alternate day fasting. And now, so alternate day fasting, as the name kind of implies that you are going to alternate days of fasting. So let's say on a Monday, you fast for the whole day, and then on Tuesday, you eat food and consume calories. Wednesday, you fast. Thursday, calories. Friday, fast. Saturday, calories, and you can continue on. Now, there are some people who may do this kind of more long-term, so they may do it kind of indefinitely as a choice that they're making, in a similar way to some people might do time restricted feeding, or basically fasting for 16 to 18 hours and then feeding for kind of 6 to 8 hours, basically condensing that feeding window. Some people may choose to do alternate day fasting kind of more long term. If I decide to implement it, my initial thoughts were I'd probably do kind of shorter protocols that are repeated periodically. So might be something like doing a fasting. So we'll call one cycle as a fast and a feed. So maybe doing like 3 to 4 cycles, so 6 to 8 days worth, once a month or once every 6 weeks, once every other month, something like that, so that I can get the benefits out of fasting that I use it for, which is the improved nasal congestion and improved kind of cravings towards the foods that I don't want in my lifestyle. So junk food, alcohol, those types of things. And then go back to whether it's time restricted feeding or just regular feeding during kind of the days that I'm not doing this alternate day fasting. But one of the really important things to understand is that when you do something like alternate day fasting, or when you do time restricted feeding, because both of these we can kind of use the same concept, is you want to make sure that you are maintaining your caloric intake. Now, if you, as an example, you are morbidly obese and you are trying to lose weight, then we can manipulate caloric intake during those times to be in a hypocaloric state. However, that's not what we're talking about here. I'm talking about people who are not really looking to lose weight with this, but are more so using the fasting for other benefits. And so in those situations, so whether it's time restricted feeding or alternate day fasting, we actually want to maintain caloric intake kind of over that time period window. Now, generally what happens is calories end up going down a little bit because it's just sometimes really difficult. For example, if you're doing time restricted feeding and your normal caloric intake is 3,000 calories, sometimes it's a little difficult to get 3,000 calories worth, in for example, a 4 or 6 hour period. Similarly, if your normal caloric intake is 3,000 calories a day, it's difficult to get 6,000 calories if you're doing your alternate day fasting. And so one of the things that becomes really, really crucial during that time then is nutrient density. And so making sure that even if you can't get, so let's say I start doing alternate day fasting and I'm looking to eat about 5,000 to 6,000 calories a day when I am on my eating days. What's going to be really, really important for me is that I'm not wasting a bunch of those calories on foods that are not nutrient dense. And so you're going to want to do things like organ meats, which are going to be really, really dense in nutrients. Eggs, obviously our animal proteins. If we're going on the non-meat side, where we're looking at green leafy vegetables, legumes, beans, those types of things that are going to be really concentrated in nutrients, and not processed junk food that has good caloric content but not great micronutrient content. And so that's super, super important to understand whenever you're doing time restricted feeding or alternate day fasting. I'm curious to kind of see how this will go. I definitely know that to kind of circle back on yesterday's video, well, I filmed it yesterday, probably came out a few days ago. But one of the things that I think really helped me yesterday was some form of GABA receptor modulation. And so things like glycine and L-theanine and magnesium definitely helped me as I increased my catecholamine production, so my epinephrine and norepinephrine during that period of fasting. And today just received a shipment of phenibut, which is a GABA receptor modulator. It's actually an analog of GABA that hits kind of on the GABA B receptor and mildly on the GABA A receptor, but mostly on the GABA B receptor. Even today, I already noticed with that just a much less erratic and kind of adrenaline baseline on my mood and symptoms, and kind of just more calm throughout the day because of that. So I think that's something that is going to be really, really important for me. Now, on the converse side, there may be some people who actually have the opposite effect, where when they fast, they actually kind of they feel really, really fatigued. And there can be multiple reasons for this. Some of them have to do with different toxicities that might be liberated from fats during that time period and things like that. But in those situations, we wouldn't want to do things like L-theanine or phosphatidylserine or GABA analogs or anything like that. We would actually want to probably support the adrenal glands with some stronger stimulating herbs. So maybe some things like Korean ginseng or even American ginseng to a lesser degree can be beneficial and helpful in those situations. So I hope that gives some insight. I'll probably, once I get a bit more into this alternate day fasting, I will film another video as an update, just to let you guys know some things that I've found from it. But I'm excited to see how this goes. All right, see you later, everybody.